subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Namaste, konnichiwa. Welcome to the Thenupurtewarishow. And today we have very special guest, and she is none other than Ms.Brar. She is Additional Director General of Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Ms.Brar, welcome to the Thenupurtewarishow. Let's talk business.
Thank you, Nupur, and namaste, viewers.
So, since we have got you, definitely we would love to know about tourism, because we all know that these 2 years, the pandemic, actually I think the hospitality industry, tourism industry is very much affected. So what are the steps government of India taking to revive tourism again, to bring it back and making it really profit-making industry?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Nupur, in fact, it's been a very, very difficult time, not just for tourism in India, but also for tourism all over the world. Because the first prerequisite for tourism to happen is travel. And because travel itself had to be suspended, so obviously it has had a very detrimental effect on tourism. And also because tourism is something you want to do when you are at leisure, when you're happy, when you want a holiday, when you want a break. And clearly, people have been very concerned about health, which was the primary concern for everyone around the world. And therefore, tourism could not have been a priority in any case. And like you and I are connecting right now, businesses started finding alternate ways of surviving, keeping up. And while digital technology has been fantastic, it has actually connected the world in so many ways. But in a way, it's also hit the segment of travel, which would otherwise have happened because of business. All the large events, large conferences, meetings, which drive a significant segment of travel, tourism, and hospitality, also has taken a back seat. So, in the interim, even when things were kind of looking up, but everyone has still preferred to keep connected through the digital platforms. So, what we are trying to do, therefore, in the government, understanding that the first concern for everyone is going to be health. Therefore, making sure that the health protocols are in place is been the first priority from the moment that you enter. And when we say enter, we don't even say the airport, it's actually the aircrafts. So making sure that the aircraft that you travel in is going to have all the protocols in place, the staff, the air hostesses, the stewards, and everyone, the baggage handling at the airports. And once you get down, then making sure that when you walk out, your thermal screenings and everything is in place. And also making sure that you are in alignment with large number of countries in terms of the kind of protocols that are required for vaccination, testing, etc., so that you don't kind of underdo and you don't overdo. I think that's been the approach that India has been taking, that we just got to do what is globally an accepted protocol at this point in time. So that's been one. The other, of course, has been reaching out to our hospitality industry and telling them as to how they need to make sure that the guest checking in truly feels, not just feels reassured, but making sure that the rooms, the restaurants, the kitchens, the bathrooms, the public spaces and everything is duly sanitized as per the WHO and the Ministry of Health, Government of India's protocols. That's been an important part of the journey. Also, a lot of workshops for all the staff, all the frontline workers, and the frontline workers have been prioritized in terms of vaccinations. That was done for the first dose, it was done for the second dose, and now it's also being done for the, the booster doses. So those are the kind of things that are happening on the more, should we say, the hard side of it. And on the softer side, I'm sure you will ask a few things around that. So I'll share with you interesting things on what else are we doing to make it interesting. Yeah.
Definitely, these are very definitely, informative for everyone, whatever the things you have just said. But those information are very special and important for all of us. But the thing is that, I'm just taking you to different question. Actually, you are playing a big role in tourism ministry, and you are a woman, you are a mother. So, since I'm a woman also, so, and there are a lot of women who will be watching this show. So how do you really balance these two roles? Like, that having really responsible position for government of India and playing a motherly role. So how do you balance there?
Yeah, so that's an interesting switch of the question, but I
Yeah.
think also a very, what should I say, a very important question. Because also you are speaking from Japan, where also I know that the traditional values of staying together as families is very, very strong. And so is it in India too. And we also prioritize making sure that the children are very well educated and they're healthy. And also home food cooking is a huge priority in India. We don't eat out of the refrigerators and stuff like that. So yes, it is definitely challenging. I cannot say that it's not a challenge. It's surely a challenge. And you have to be very organized. You have to be very planned, and you have to make sure that your systems are in place. So everything has to happen. You need to have good support systems. So on the day, I remember when my daughter was growing up, there were times when you just had to go to work, even though the child was home, or she was on a couple of occasions even down with a mild temperature. And I had a fantastic family living right next to our home, who would step in as being the foster family. So that's very important, falling back on family and friends, and also being very organized about your day, and definitely going that extra mile. Because if you've got to do a little more with your life, I think you just have to work hard for it. And I think that helps. And of course, on the other side, as the child grows up, also inculcating in them the value that a working parent and a working mother is a great advantage in terms of how you are able to connect with your parent. And I think children themselves become great supports if you teach them and grow them up well. And Amy, my daughter, as she was growing up, I think she became so independent. As soon as she could do her own things, I really didn't have to sit with her and do homeworks. I didn't really have to pester her. I didn't really have to be after her life too much and say, oh, don't watch television because you have an assignment to finish. I think it's also how you rear them up and teach them the principles of how to be responsible young citizens from an early life.
Great. Yeah, I think these are the very informative and very much, special, important information for all the women, especially who are really struggling to balance the work and the home and raising children. And I think, what you said, that's very much important. When you believe in your children, they become more independent. So
Absolutely, Nupur, absolutely. It's how you bring them up. It's a lot of about values that you give them, and also when you have to be a bit firm also, because if you tell them that you also matter, that you are a mother, but then you're not just a mother. You're also a person. You're also an individual. You also have your own dreams, your own goals, and therefore everything has to happen together. I think a good child, and all children are good, it's about the kind of values you give them. And if you tell them that, I think very early they learn to respect you. In fact, there have been so many times when Amy has actually stepped in and taken care of responsibilities as she's grown older. She looks at my day schedules, and when she finds that I have a really, really tough phase, sometimes she just steps in and takes care of a lot of things at home, even from a distance, even though she doesn't even live in India. So I think it's about very early on, you have to put this into the child's head and to everybody else around also's head, that you also matter and that you also have a life.
this is a very important line, actually. You have said that you also matter, which actually we ignore a lot. And that is where all the conflict, all the problems really we face, because we just, we women also, we just want people to just take us for granted. So we don't matter. So we are also quite responsible for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. You see, because how you see yourself is a very important part of how the world is going to see you. So you got to see yourself as an individual first. And you also have to believe in yourself. And as I said, yes, of course, it takes that much more of effort. And it definitely needs a lot more planning. You have to be organized. And all that goes together to make sure that you can actually deliver. And I think if I can talk from my personal experience, I think children actually feel very proud. I'm sure your children do the same. Children actually feel very proud of parents, but especially when their moms step out and are able to play roles which are beyond what they would think are the traditional roles of just a mother.
Exactly. Yeah, especially, the children, and I'm sure that I also have a daughter, so she's 13, and yeah, the when a mother does something, she feels really special and very proud. Yeah, so this is
And I think
always.
I'm sure you're an inspiration for your daughter, and it
So
really,
are
and also,
you?
yeah, I think so, because I think Amy reaches out to me when she needs to consult, and she believes, not just because I'm her mother, but she believes that because I interact with a lot of people, take a lot of decisions, manage my time, I think because of that, she has learned to trust my judgments around a lot of things. So, in a sense, as you grow older, you actually go beyond just being a parent to your child. You, in fact, become more like a friend, because they learn to trust you, because they see you, taking difficult decisions, sometimes warding off all kinds of pressures and things like that. And so I think it's a fantastic relationship to have with your child.
Exactly. I think these questions also related to tourism, because tourism has really wide area. So everything is related to tourism, because we
Right.
have to, make the world. We have to make the world better.
Absolutely. Also, Nipur, because there are a lot of times when we reach out to friends and a lot of women around the world, and in fact, they would say many a times, "Oh, but I have a child at home, and how am I going to travel?" And even for
True.
business meetings, and that has something that has inspired me here in the ministry. When we do a lot of conclaves and when we do our conferences, I would find a lot of times women would not join these. Women who work in the sector, and initially, I honestly didn't even notice it too much. But after a few sessions, I realized that if I had a group of 50 men, it was 50 men. Where were the women? Even in a sector like tourism and hospitality, where intuitively there should have been more women. And then I have started saying, no, I'm not going to take all of you as men. I need your women to come. And it was kind of, I think you have to think through these things, because a lot of women turned back and said, it's hard for us to leave our children. And then it tells you that I think a supportive family, but even before they can become supportive, you have to remind them that it's equally important for me to go and attend a business meeting or a conference, and if it's taking me out of the city for a night or two, well, then the husband or the people at home or some other caregivers have to come in, because you can't continuously have a situation of a woman never prioritizing her careers. I think it's a narrative which needs to be spoken about more. And now I'm glad that for the sessions that we go out to, of course, because of COVID, we have not had a lot of physical outings, but when we do have a few women joining in. So nimble steps, but I'm glad that it's happening.
Yeah, and you are such an inspiration. I think you are inspiring them to join, more and more women to join, come physically and attending.
You see, once they are adding so much value to the sector, anyways, then it's a pity that at times when we go for conferences, they are not there. There are so many women engaged in the sector. And
True.
also, because the world, ultimately, if we look at the progress of the world in any society, unless the women are not going to be a common partake part of it, the society cannot grow.
True.
Any society that hopes to develop and any society that hopes to go forward has to be a joint effort of both the genders. So I think from that perspective also, it's extremely important to encourage women around, and to just give them just that little nudge, and also to people around them, and say it's okay, the world is not going to fall apart.
True, exactly. I think many are going to be inspired by by your rewards today. And now I'm going to switch a little bit. I'm going to yoga. Yoga is very important, especially the physical and mental health. And yoga is a part of tourism. And I'm a yogi. I teach yoga as well. Yes. So it's the way I started teaching yoga here. I put a lot of meditation. Of course, physical yoga, hatha yoga, and the meditation part mostly. So today's world, the yoga is becoming it is like totally different brand. In before we gave our stamp to it, like starting the international yoga day, it was in different country, kind of a different kind of way they were selling. But now after international yoga day, kind of we are uniting kind of yoga everywhere. But still we find that yoga, actually the essence of yoga, the real authentic yoga, is still missing, even in Japan also, like, and still that is missing. Like, how do you think we can promote through tourism?
Right. No, I'm so glad that you asked that question, because I think that is one of, when we really start looking at tourism and when we start looking at USPs for India. I think India's deep heritage, which goes back so many millennia, and you're sitting in another country which also has such a deep culture and heritage. So here too, our yoga has been so much a part of the ancient civilization that we are, and how to take it forward and how to further develop it as a strong USP, because this is something truly unique to us. It is something that we have reason to feel proud of. And you mentioned about heart yoga, but yoga as a philosophy of life is something that has kept our civilization so grounded and so strong. And therefore, in times to come, how to make sure that yoga actually reaches out? Yes, indeed, it's not just an opportunity, but a huge challenge for us. So we are trying to reach out to specialists, to people who really invested their lives in yoga, so that the elements of yoga as a way of life is something that is brought out. We will be making a lot much more content. There is a lot of work happening on our side. So, and also moving away from yoga only in certain pockets in India, because yoga is practiced all across the country. And also, it is not something which you cannot integrate with, so to say, the regular way of life. You know, you are yourself an example of that. And how to make sure that it is not something which is going to make you take away from things that you do in life, but is actually going to value add a lot more to your daily life. So, yes, a lot of plans in place in terms of getting content from practitioners, from people who've spent long years in working out the more philosophical base, putting it together as a good marketing product. Because when a tourist comes, it's not that he's going to be here forever. He only has 5 or 6 or 7 days at most. Typical holiday makers are there from one weekend to the next. And that's all that they have, and in which they are trying to take away a lot from their holiday in terms of the, on return on investment on your money that you put in a holiday. So yes, we would be making sure that the various resorts and ashrams, as we call them also, are able to package a lot more. So if you're there for 2 night, 3 day kind of a package, then you are able to inculcate yoga in your physical form, in the food forms, and in the mental philosophical form. So the body, mind, and soul. That's the kind of catering we are looking forward to doing in times to come.
Wow, that's the kind of catering, I just love it. Love the sentence. Yeah, definitely that should be, because it's a, as you said also, and it is true that yoga is a way of life. It's not only hatha yoga or, meditation, or, you can just cannot divide. It is totally way of life. It gives you a complete package.
Mhm.
So now, again, I'm now between two countries, like India and Japan. India and Japan connected through, like, since I think many thousands years, before Buddhism, because I think that there are many Japan has like 7 most important gods, and most of them are Indian god and goddesses. So here, we see definitely these days, before pandemic, many Japanese tourists definitely going there, many Indians are coming. But when you compare to West,
Mhm.
actually the Japan and India, our connection since thousands of years, but we are not aware of each other's culture that much as we should be. So
Yes,
what do you
absolutely.
think that is the reason? We know more West than Japan, or Japanese definitely they know more West than India. So
Mhm.
I would love to know your, like, what do you think? Why is it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why, honestly. I think why
Mhm.
that communication hasn't happened on the more cultural part of it, but because at the economic level, there has been so much of partnering between India and Japan. But somewhere on the travel and the exchange of culture part, I guess both cultures being, I mean, I'm just wagering a guess that probably both cultures being very ancient and very rich in themselves,
Exactly.
perhaps have not, felt the need to reach out because each of us has so much to themselves. So that could be one reason, because I think within India, there's so much for an Indian, and for a Japanese, there's so much within Japan, such a deep, such a, intense culture that is there, probably because of that. And also because of the kind of communication channels that used to be available earlier. And from the Western perspective, I think one of the reasons both our countries, India and Japan, have had the issue of colonial, pushing into our cultures. And that was a forcible way that we all were able to get English, perhaps, as is a big example of that. And the American warships getting into Japan, and we also had the British being colonial masters on India for a couple of centuries. So I think that was a more harsh way in which the West has interacted with us in the East. Whereas between India and Japan, there has always been friendship. It's a culture of Maitreyi, as we call it, and a lot of
Yes.
respect for each other's cultures. And because, as I said, we are both very rich cultures, probably we haven't felt the need to actually exchange that much. But now, with the growing connections for you and me, I'm in New Delhi, you are in Japan, you're in Tokyo currently. And so, for us to be able to create that dialogue and learning from each other's cultures, perhaps, is going to define this century far more, far more. And I think the beauty of it is that there is so much respect for each other,
True. True.
and then living and then imbibing and appreciating each other's cultures, not because of any forceful penetration, but because you actually learn, respect, and value each other's cultures. I think that is just so beautiful.
Exactly. And this year is the 70th diplomatic year between India
Yeah,
and Japan. So I think this is another opportunity that we should explore more.
right. Also for India, it's the 75th year of our independence from the colonial
Yeah,
people. We
true,
are
true.
celebrating it in a big way all across India this year.
Exactly. So I think, yeah, as you said, 75th, our 75th anniversary and the 78th diplomatic year between India and Japan. So now I'm going to the film tourism between India and Japan. I think around 92, we had the Japan made Ramayan, which was not that at all popular in India at that time. Now they are again since the 70th diplomatic year this year. So Ramayan is coming, the Japan which they made, so many years
Okay.
ago. So film tourism, actually, though you will find many Japanese, they just love Hindi movies and Tamil movies, especially Tamil movies.
Okay.
Our Rajnikant is very famous. When I came here first, uh,
Okay.
so the
That's
first place I went there, they just knew only one name and a few people, not all of them, Rajnikant. So I was like, wow. They asked
that's
me, did
nice
you
to
watch
hear,
that?
actually. Yeah.
Sorry.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they asked me many Tamil movies name, and I never watched them. I said, no, I don't know those movies. So I said, we have watched them. I said, okay, great. I so then I had to make them understand like that is from southern part of India, and we have another industry also Hindi movie. So, but in Tokyo, after moving to Tokyo, I found there are a lot of Hindi movie. They just love a lot of Japanese. They love Hindi movies. So, how we can bring the film tourism, the bridge, how we can make this bridge really bigger and broader, because that is a problem. We don't have that much Indian movie festival in Japan, neither the Japanese movie festival in India. So what do you think, how we can improve?
No, no, no. I think, Nupur, you've given us a fantastic business idea, because, in fact, last week itself, I was participating in a webinar session that was conducted on film tourism. And we had some stalwarts in the Indian film industry actually joining in and looking at how films for India, because Bollywood films from Tamil Nadu, the ones that you're talking about, from Rajnikant's area, and from Andhra, Telangana belt, they've been doing phenomenal business. And to us also, it's an opportunity where Bollywood is a very strong soft power. And we understand that we need to do far more. So we've actually started some dialogues around that. And probably we could do some either some filming in Japan, or vice versa, do some filming with the Japanese artists coming here and going to some of our iconic places and actually having them in a song sequence or a dance sequence, and things like that. So there is a lot of potential, and undeniably there is a lot of work to be done on that. And we do believe, I mean, look at a lot of our movies in times in the 60s. There was an actor, I don't know if you remember him or not, Raj Kapoor. He was
Yes.
so absolutely popular with the Russians.
Yes.
And a lot of Russians actually started coming to India because of him. And now when
True.
Shah Rukh Khan goes to Germany or to Malaysia, he is so lauded for. So yes, the Bollywood stars themselves have a lot of traction. So good suggestion that we need to probably do a smart film festival over there and bring the whole panorama of films, because India does a whole lot of films, and they are wonderful. There are a lot of color, there's a lot of dance, there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of emotion. So they are a good.
Exactly.
They are fun.
Exactly. So when I was taking interview of Mr. Kher, Mr. Anupam Kher, I asked him like, why you don't shoot in Japan? Like you guys always go to West or America, Switzerland, Europe, all other countries, and
Mm.
hardly they come with their for their movies. And that is
That's
also another thing we have to kind of explore. Like why don't they come? And Japanese, why they don't? They are also not choosing they are filming location Japan, sorry, India. So I
yeah.
think that is also we
Lot more
have.
dialogue. Lot more dialogue is needed, and I
Mm,
think there are a lot of apprehensions. From what I figured out in this session last week was that I think we need to create a lot of more information around India, because a lot of people not aware on how advanced India has become in terms of the connectivity. In the last few years, government has done so much work in the civil aviation sector. Close to 140 airports around in the country, out of which 20 are international. The roads network has become so amazing. We have the second largest road network today after the USA. And so there's so much infrastructural work that has happened. The human resource, the quality at the cost that you pay for that quality is so superb. So I think a lot of that information is something that perhaps has gone missing, because it was funny, because one of the very popular and a veteran, I should say, filmmaker said, he was part of the show last week and said, sometimes people think of us still as a country of snake charmers and elephants. So it's like,
true.
I mean, we still have our snake charmers and we are very proud of them because they
Yes.
are part of our culture, but then we are far more than that. We are a very advanced country. Even if you look at medical tourism, we are at number 6. There are people coming from all across the world because our doctors are so very talented, and at sometimes very much cheaper than
True.
the other countries. And also the whole concept of hospitality, the whole concept of welcoming other people and making those modifications even in the food to suit the requirements of the guest is something that we are known for. But I think that communication perhaps and sessions like these are very valuable, because it helps people to understand that when you're going to be coming to India, and though we would love you to eat Indian food, but at the same time, all of us do need to go back to our own comfort foods when we are traveling to foreign countries for a long time. So all of you also, and all my Japanese friends who are listening right now, please believe me that when you come here, you will not be deprived of really authentic sushi. You will get your, things that you really want to eat. So don't shy away from traveling to India. We are a beautiful country, and do come and shoot with us.
Exactly, exactly. And very vibrant, and we are just warm-hearted. We are just ready to welcome you. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, but we would love to suggest them to eat Indian food also, try Indian food.
And I can assure you they love them. Nupur, I have a very close Japanese friend, Takako-san. And Takako-san and I met in Singapore in 2009, and we've remained friends after that. And she loves Indian food. And I know from her, and through her, I met some other Japanese friends too. And they all loved Indian food, the curries and the spice that goes with it. They were not running away from the spice at all. So So I can assure everyone that, but then, yes, if you need a break from all the spicy Indian foods and the curries, we have it
There are
all.
sushis too. Exactly, exactly. I think these kind of session we have to have more often, because there are a lot of misunderstanding about. See, I can the people I meet, I just tell, no, the India you are thinking that is not only about curry and naan and IT only. This is and Taj Mahal. There is far beyond that. We are
Yes,
really,
absolutely.
yeah, but I can maybe tell it to few thousand, or maybe 100,000 maybe. But these kind of session, I think we more need to both countries people to let them know that.
Absolutely. Yes, I think somehow the communication hasn't been that brisk on the more cultural side of it. As I said, even though there's been so much of economic coordination between the two countries, and we are so, benefited by us working together with Japan on so many projects in India, but somehow, I mean, one of our most popular cars that came in the 1980s was Suzuki,
Suzuki, yes,
and so many
yeah,
other collaborations. It's been a very, very happy relationship. And but
true.
somewhere on the cultural front, I think we need to do more and take away all those misconceptions that sometimes lack of information creates.
Exactly, exactly. So the last question, it would be about the golf tourism. Japanese, they love to play golf, and India is becoming the destination of golf, what I heard.
So,
So could you give
so
us some more information on that?
I mean, we have, if we count the courses which are also owned by the armed forces, so 200 plus actually golf courses in India. But if I look at the private one, then some of them are really beautiful, and they are crafted by the best golf players around the world. So we have more than 20 of those. And playing golf in India is so much cheaper. And
True.
also, when you come here, and if you are a male who's playing golf, there is enough shopping for your wives to do. So you will burn a little hole in your pocket, but then they will love it. And if you are a lady and who is playing the golf, and if both of you are playing, then of course you're both in the golf course. But if you're a lady playing the golf and your husband wants to do other things, there are just so many things to see in India. We have more than, Nupur, we have 101 national parks, and these are designated as national parks, but then there are so many others. So almost 500 national park sanctuaries, out of which 101 are national designated parks. And the wildlife that you have here is just mind-boggling. We have the desert, we have the salt marshes, we have 40 plus UNESCO tangible heritage sites, and then there's so many intangible things to be done in India. You're clearly spoiled for choice when you come to India. So when you come to play golf, you come and play golf in some of the finest courses of the world. But in addition, you also get so much else as a takeaway when. So it's a truly rewarding experience. And I would highly encourage everybody to come and play golf, yes, and also come and do a lot of other things when you're in incredible India.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure that people who are watching, they will be very much inspired by your words, and they will just make after this corona, they I think it is going to exit our life soon.
Yes, honestly, right now we also have 500,000 visas, tourist visas, which are free of cost. So even though the cost of visa may or may not necessarily be the only reason why people travel, but it is an encouragement, and we are encouraging everyone to use that quota of 500,000 free for now visas to India. The flight connectivity is wonderful. It's just about an 8 hour, 9 hour flight. It's not very long. Sleep on the way, get off the airport, and the golf courses are just about half an hour drive from the airport. So it's that efficient also.
So 500,000 visas are free visas. The government of
Yes.
India, they
Yes, the government of
offering.
India announced 500,000, first 500,000 visas when we reopened visas from 15th of November 2021. We have said the first 500,000 tourist visas are going to be free of cost. So don't get late, just plan your travels and come to our beautiful country.
That is such a great news. 500,000 visas are totally free. It's going to be, and I think, again, the government of India is, I think now it is kind of hold, right, for the Omicron. No,
No, no,
no,
no.
you're
We are
giving
open.
visas.
Yeah, yeah,
The government,
we are.
okay. So I think this is a great chance. You can just apply for visa totally free of cost. Wow.
Absolutely. Please apply for the visas. And we are all, let's keep our fingers crossed. But India has done the vaccination drive, has been very aggressive, and with so many people, the coverage of the population is really large. And on the 1st of Jan, we also started doing children from the age of 15 to 18. And from the 10th of January, the vaccination for the elders, the 60 plus citizens of the country are also being vaccinated. And therefore, yes, you definitely need to be careful. I cannot overemphasize that you do need to mask, you need to keep the social distancing, and definitely the protocols have to be respected. But we are very, very hopeful that very soon we shall be in a space where Omicron will be a story of the past and we will all be traveling and being happy again. But in terms of the protocols being followed at the airports, in the taxis, in the buses, in the metro trains, in the hotels, in golf courses, or wherever else that you plan to go to, you are going to be extremely in a safe environment. So please, please do plan your travels and visit our beautiful, incredible country.
And take advantage of free, free visa. Yeah, free visa.
And it's lovely weather in India right now. It's kind of nice and cold, and you can dig into some kebabs and tandoori chicken. It's a good time to do all that.
True. Exactly. Yeah, you are just, I'm imagining, and I'm just somewhere I'm going there without airplane.
Right. And the tourism, as we always say, cannot be virtual because the tandoori chicken has to be had in real time.
Great. I'm waiting for that. Yeah, I'm waiting for, the moment Japan will say, okay, everything is fine, I'll just buy my ticket.
And piping hot tea and samosas. I mean, honestly, Nupur, though we didn't talk about it too much, but I think the Indian food is something that is truly an enticing affair, and you can fall in love with it.
Oh, yes.
The variety that we have about food in India, and I know that the Japanese love food.
Indian food, yeah.
So I think you are spoiled for choice when you come to India, because the kind of variety that we have in India, even for us as Indians, it's a journey that is unending, because every time you go to a different part of the country, just 100 miles away from where you live, and hey, you're confronted with different mix of spices, different mix of lentils, and the cooking styles change. And I think it's such a beautiful experience.
It is so tempting, the way you were telling all those about food. Now I feel like, okay, I should buy a ticket and just fly and get the authentic food.
Fantastic.
Very successfully you have said it, and I'm sure after watching this show, many will take advantage of free visa and fly to India.
We will be more than happy to welcome everyone who comes here. And I would also like to leave a message through you, Nupur, to all the viewers, that if you have any questions, if you have any apprehensions, please reach out to the consulate in Tokyo. You can also reach out to us in the Ministry of Tourism. All our coordinates are available on the website of the Ministry of Tourism. Also, do follow the incredibleindia.org, and also follow us on the Instagram handles. We are there as Incredible India, Government of India's blue tick certified page. Do follow that. We keep posting a lot of stuff. And if you are short on any other information, we are always there to help you. We are there to guide you. And we're also there to take care of any issues that you're likely to feel or have. And once you're here, you are in safe hands.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms.Brar, for these precious information, I would say, because these were really unknown to us, many of us. So these information, I think many will follow, and they will just, after the moment, Japan will be totally fine. They'll just fly to, buy ticket and just fly to India, I'm sure.
Okay.
And thank you so much for your time and all those information you have given. Really, we didn't know about all those things. So I think we'll be meeting again. I would love to have you again whenever your time permits, then we can discuss more things.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you, Nupur, and I'm looking forward to having you in India. And as you say in Japanese, arigato.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.